All right, folks. So we kind of have set up our control rig. So it's kind of we are able to do a lot of our posing already. So key things, right? Yeah, we can kind of open and close the jaw. We should also be able to rotate your character, and we can move our eyes around, right? So we have a lot of like kind of flexibility in what we can do. So that's pretty awesome. The next thing we are going to be setting up is some of the things that are a little bit more nuanced, and so that's going to kind of revolve around creating face expressions and also making like specific like nuanced mouth movements for speech. Yeah, so those are the main things that we're going to be concentrating on in this particular section. Okay, so to make sure that you have the like to make sure that we're ready to go for that, we are going to be duplicating some of this geometry, and we're going to be creating what are called blend shapes. Yeah, and blend shapes are pretty awesome because they allow us to kind of scope characters' features so they look the way that you kind of envision them. Yeah, so we're gonna use that really to give your character a lot of personality. Now, if you remember, we are gonna be jumping to our channel box over here. The key thing I want you folks to get from this area is we are going to be going to your character model and making sure that it's not referenced, yeah, so we can actually select the character itself. The other thing I do want you folks to make sure that you do is that you kind of go in here and um, check on how you want your character to look. Yeah, so remember we do have your options as far as like how your character is gonna show up, so you can kind of like pick out the style you want. I'm just going with the female beanie style. Yeah, so we'll kind of work with, I'm going to be kind of working with that, but feel free to switch that up, yeah, if you ever want to customize, yeah, while we're doing this. All right, so let's set up our let's kind of go set up our like our target faces, and these are all going to be blend shapes. Yeah, so they're eventually going to be blend shapes. So here are the items that I'm going to ask you to get. So if you can open up your character face rig, the things that we're going to be duplicating, yeah, are the following. Yeah, so both eyes. Yeah, so we can actually select them directly over here as well. If you can select the face, and then if you can choose the pair of teeth. Yeah, so teeth top, teeth bottom, that should give us a lot to work with right there. Yeah, so if you can make sure you select all five of those things, we are going to be doing a command D, and what that's going to do is obviously make a duplication of those five items. Okay, now what you're going to notice is it shows up in our outliner with the ones at the end, so now we know it's a duplicate. The other thing you'll notice is in the outliner, they are locked. Yeah, so these grids are indicating we can't change that information. Remember, we did set that up earlier. However, we don't want to kind of continue with that. We want to have these additional faces editable because we need to make those expressions, so those blend shape expressions. So I'm gonna click on this translate X, highlight it, click and drag all the way down to scale Z. Then we're going to right click, and remember we did do a lock before. We're not going to be unlocking these new duplicates, so these new duplicates that we made, and then I'm going to ask you to use the move tool, yeah, and we're going to drag that over to the side. Yeah, so we're going to bring our second one over here. Okay, so that'll be our second set. Now I'm going to ask you to do this a total of 7 times. Yeah, so we're going to be doing this a total of 7 times. So we already got this first set. I'm gonna I'm going to do Command D, bring that second set out, and then here's our third. Okay, I'm probably gonna jump to my front view just so I can kind of see the spacing. Well, we have a lot of space here for sure. Okay, so here's number 4, 5, 6, and here goes 7. All right, and so that's all of our that's going to be all of our sets for our expressions. Yeah, so for our expression blend shapes. Okay, now I'm going to close up the character face rig. Okay, and you'll notice that like your outline is still pretty clean. However, we have a whole bunch of these extra geometry now in here. I'm going to ask you to please make sure that you take it out from this character face rig. because right now it's just creating a lot of clutter within that particular area. We will end up regrouping all of these later, yeah. So obviously we can unparent, right? So you can now go in and make sure you have all of these selected, and then we are going to do a shift P. Yeah, so go ahead and do your shift P, and what you're going to notice is they're all going to pop out outside. Yes, they're all going to pop out outside. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff going on in here. I am going to ask you to basically grab everything that is not listed as face. Yeah, so if you can select all of those items, there's going to be a lot. Yeah, in total, you're basically just not going to be selecting 7 of these objects. Yeah, so I'm kind of going down. These are all the ones up until here. Yeah, and then let's see. The only things I'm not selecting outside of the character face rig are the faces. Yeah, so there should be 7 of them listed on there. Okay. Now, once you got all of those, if you can do a Command G, yeah, so Command G, just to group all of those, and then we're just gonna put these in as reference objects. Yeah, and the reason why we're keeping this is we are going to be doing some deformation, but when we're doing the deformation, we want to make sure that like the those pieces, which is like the teeth and the eyes, don't end up like popping through while you're making your edits, yeah, on how the shape of the face looks. Okay, so that's going to be in our reference objects. Okay, now we do have these other 7. Okay, I'm going to ask you to kind of go down the line, and we're going to be labeling these because we're going to be turning them into our own little expressions. Yeah, so if you can go ahead and find the first face that you duplicated, yeah, so it should be listed on here as face 1. If you can rename it, yeah, so you can either rename it in your outline or you can rename it obviously in your channel box, yeah, but here's what we're naming it. It's super easy. We're just going to call this blend happy. Yeah, so blend happy, or actually, yeah, we'll go blend happy. That should work. Okay, and so that'll be your first one. Then if you can get to your second one, okay, this one is going to be blend angry. And so blend angry. Then we do have our third one, that will be blend surprise. Okay, we'll get to our fourth. Okay, and this will be the last of our expressions. This will be blend sad. Yeah, and that'll be our 4 on there. Now we do have 3 more. Yeah, so we do have 3 more over here. These we're going to be using to create specific mouth movements. Yeah, so we're going to be very, very deliberate on those. So this one is going to be named blend underscore u. Yeah, so this would be like the woo and the oo. Yeah, that'll be the 2 things shapes that'll make. When we get to number 6, yeah, this is going to be like it will be the sound that we're making. So I'll show you some reference on this later. Right now it's probably not going to be making a lot of sense. I'm just making noises, yeah, but this will be the b and p. Yeah, so m, b, and p, b, and p. Okay, then we get to our last of these faces. Again, same naming scheme. This time though, this is gonna be the weirdest one. This is gonna be the f, yeah, or the f, yeah. So the f. Okay, probably the most, I guess, like specific of the mouth movements, yeah, that we're gonna be working on. All right, and so there's all our blends. Okay, so we can definitely work with that. Okay, so because we have these labeled, we can now kind of like we can kind of like start to edit them. Yeah, so let me get to this first one, and remember that was our blend happy. If you want to also, you can rearrange them in your outliner by middle mouse button clicking and dragging. Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of do that just so that I don't get mixed up on which one I'm specifically working on. We will be connecting these later to a control curve. Yeah, so let's see, all the way down to here. MVP is actually the second one, and then F. Okay, yeah, so that looks pretty good. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's our setup. All right, so Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of start working on one of the edits. So let's go ahead and select the first one. Okay, this is the happy one. Yeah, so this is the happy one over here. Okay, now one thing I want you folks to keep in mind when you're doing this is please make sure, no matter what, that you never freeze these particular duplicates. Yeah, and the reason why we don't freeze them is if we do, this translate information is going to disappear. Yes, it's going to switch from whatever this number is, which is from left to right, right? Is that's the distance that it is from the original. If we freeze this transformation, this is going to switch to 0, and it will no longer let you connect between these two particular geometries. Yeah, so then that kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, so again, please, 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 no matter what happens, do not select any of these blend faces and then freeze it. Yeah, we're just not going to do that. All right, so now we can start making the expressions. So let's kind of take a look at there is a guide that we can use to sort of see what expressions we're going to be needing. Good part is, of course, we all kind of have a feel for it a bit. Now, these are the face expressions that we're looking at. Things I want you folks to notice is like, again, this is a real big way of how humans communicate. Yeah, so you'll notice that there are a bunch of really areas that we want to concentrate on. Probably the area that I think we think of the most when we think about an expression is going to be the mouth. Yeah, so obviously, happy you have your smile, angry you kind of have like your jaw kind of clenches a bit, sad you kind of have like a loosening, yeah, in this area, and then also your chin gets a little bit kind of stuck together, and then also we have surprise. Yeah, so surprise is sometimes neutral. We notice for all of these, we don't have the mouth open for our guide, and the main reason why these particular images were chosen is because, remember, we can already open our mouth using our controls. Yeah, so that's kind of if we did do a surprise and we wanted it to be a surprise with the mouth open, we would also rotate the jaw. Yeah, so that's kind of why like all of these are like more no showing of teeth, no seeing the inside of the mouth. Yeah. Other things to look at though is you also notice that the nose kind of changes between expressions. Yeah. Particularly like when you're smiling, your nose kind of widens as well. When you're angry, it kind of moves up because there's like this scrunch in this area, so like that the muscles kind of pull upwards. So those are things to consider. The other thing too is like if you take a look at the brows, right? The brows do kind of change a lot. We are going to be changing them a little when we're making our edits. The only thing though is because the brows are kind of connected to our eyebrow controls, they're not going to be as effective as the expression that we make, but we're gonna try it out anyway, just so that it kind of feels a little bit more like we get a full look. And last but not least, of course, is the eyes. Yeah, so the eyes do change. Happy, if you're legitimately smiling, right? Your eyes get a bit smaller. Anger, yeah, there's an intensity there. Sadness, yeah, we do have a little bit of like brow furrowing, yeah, which affects the eyes. And of course, surprise is wide awake, alert, and very wide open. Yeah, so these are the faces that we're going to be kind of working on. So feel free to use that as a reference. I will also have this up on the screen just so I can kind of take a look at it. Now, obviously, I'm going to start off with the happy expression. So let me kind of zoom in on that one right over here. Yes, I can kind of take a look at it. Okay, so the main thing that I'm seeing over here definitely is that the mouth kind of widens. Yeah, so looks like this character is pretty pleasant as is, but we're gonna have the mouth widen a little bit on the a little bit more. Yeah, so at least we get a little bit of contrast. Now, if you notice, I am jumping back into my perspective view. The other thing is I'm gonna go and press the 1 mode, and the reason why I'm pressing that is because it's just a little bit better to work in low poly, because like sometimes when you're in you're in high poly, which is 3 mode, right? You end up like really distorting your model a lot, yeah, and not realizing it while you're working on it. So 3 is more to look, see how your progress is going. 1 is more for, okay, let's do our edits. Okay, now the other thing we really want to do is, of course, be efficient. Yeah, so when we're doing our edits, it's best to work on one side and hopefully have it mirrored over to the other side instead of you having to duplicate your efforts. Probably the easiest way to do this is if you go up to the top of your menu screen over here. We do have our symmetry settings. It's probably set to symmetry off. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna go and click on this down arrow, and if you can choose the object X, yeah, so object X. What this should do is it should activate where anything that you do on the left side, because this is a symmetrical model, should immediately be reflected on the right side and vice versa. Yeah, so we'll see if that works. Usually when we're working on this, we're going to be in vertex mode, so if you can hop into that. The other thing that is going to be kind of cool about this is I am going to be working using a little bit of our soft selection tool. And soft selection tool is awesome because what will happen is you can kind of affect a wider range of things. So it's a lot more like working with clay, which is a very nice thing because it kind of saves you some time when you're doing some of your edits. Yeah, so to get into that mode is you're just gonna press B. Yeah, so if you can press B. Okay, what you notice immediately is you'll have your original vertex selected, and then you'll notice the coloring of it, yeah, is going to be very distinct. Yellow means that it's like more towards the center, and then we also have our reds, yeah, that means that they're still going to be affected but not as much. Yeah, now if you notice, mine is like pretty extreme right now. If I were to move this vertex right here, it's disturbing, right? I kind of am just like squishing his face sideways, really weird. And that's because right now the influence of this is much too strong. Yeah, it's kind of radiating out and affecting too much of the face. Okay, now the way we can edit that is if I hold down B. Yeah, so if you hold down B on your keyboard and then you click on your mouse button, if you click on your middle mouse button, okay, what that'll let you do is it'll kind of like let you work with the effect zone. Yeah, so for example, as I'm clicking on this, I'm going to kind of pull to maybe about over here. I kind of like that. Yeah, and what this will do is you notice it kind of creates a smaller hotspot, but the cool part is, watch, as I'm moving this out, okay, it's affecting the outside, and it's also affecting the interior. Yeah, so that's really helpful because now we're starting to, like, instead of having to work with like a lot of vertices all at once, we just need to work on a select few. Yeah, so I need to be careful with this because when I did my selection, I just realized that I kind of did a selection where I didn't have our forward face is only selectable. Yeah, so I do need to make sure that I go and double click into my selection settings, and then I'm going to make sure for both marquee and for drag that is camera based selection. And what this means basically is anytime I'm selecting any vertices, like even if I select a whole bunch over here, it will not be selected in the back. Yeah, so very important. You don't want to accidentally just start like deforming things that you didn't mean to deform. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into my settings for this and like kind of bring this down a bit, but I'm thinking like I can work with this area right here. Yeah, that this area is looking pretty good as far as like for that scale, so I'm gonna kind of bring this out a little bit. Okay, and again, we're trying to get that smile, yeah, so kind of bringing that out a little bit. You work on the edges here. Okay, everyone's gonna kind of have their own style for this. Yeah, so experiment with it. Now remember, when you're working with this, the rest of your face is going to be affected as well. So if you notice right over here, we're starting to get that extra curvature. Yeah, so that should also be extending out. The other thing you'll notice that's kind of hard to tell on this guide is that the lips tend to get a little bit thinner, yeah, because it's again, it's like kind of conserving mass, yeah. So what should happen here is, as this is widening, it's this the lip should also be thinning, yeah. So the lip should also be thinning. So I'm gonna kind of go over here, add a little bit of that effect, yeah. So kind of bring that together. Same thing for the bottom one. So I'm just gonna kind of work with this one right here, maybe about here, and bring that up a little bit, yeah. Can maybe add a little bit for the chin, yeah. But you'll notice, like, yeah, we're starting to get into like a little bit of sculpting. This can be pretty fun, yeah. You're getting some good experience right there, yeah. The other thing you can do is, like, we got to be careful about, especially when we're doing smiles. You don't want to do like something too extreme. I know for some people, you may kind of almost be tempted to do the Joker style. Yeah, so I'm shift selecting up here, where you're just kind of having the mouth go like up a lot. Okay, but that is pretty unnatural looking, and it's pretty scary. Yeah, um, so I'm gonna jump off on there and press the 3 key. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's kind of scary. It doesn't feel quite natural. It feels almost like beakish. Yeah, so be careful about that. That's why we bring up our reference, because sometimes, like, I know, like, definitely my mind kind of, I get fooled a little bit, like, because I think like emojis, right, would be a little bit more like edges of the lips go further up than I thought, right, which is not the case here. Okay, so kind of I am gonna bring it up a little, yeah, so a little, but not a lot. Yeah, I'm being really careful about that. The other thing that we're gonna do here, so I'm gonna tweak this a little bit. Again, feel free to um, like jump back and forth between that and 3 mode, yeah. So we jump back just to see how it's going. Okay, and then remember, you do have your original to kind of compare it against, yeah. Okay. The other thing that I'm gonna ask you to do here is, like, also pay attention to, like, the cheeks. Yeah. So you'll notice, like, the cheeks have a different kind of look to it. So whenever you smile, and another suggestion I usually have is, feel free to, like, use yourself as a guide. Yeah. So just think about something happy for you, and see if you can observe what happens um, when you're doing a smile, yeah. Okay, now one thing I'm noticing over here is there's like a lot of bunching for the cheeks, you know, so I'm gonna kind of take advantage of that. Maybe bring out the brush a little bit over here, but yeah, we're gonna have that bunching together, and then kind of create that look, right? Because again, smile, it's not just the mouth, yeah. There's all kinds of stuff going on over here. Okay. The other thing too is, remember, we're expanding out the face. So because the smile is expanding, that also means your nose expands a little bit. So I'm actually gonna kind of bring out these edges a little bit, so it feels like the whole face is involved, yeah, which is accurate, you know, when you're doing a smile. Okay, and again, kind of bringing these out a little bit. Okay, um, yeah. So it's a lot of tweaking. Okay, and then last but not least, I'm gonna probably pay some attention to the eyes. Yeah. So again, real smile reaches the eyes. That means they'll kind of like close together a bit. So I'm gonna work on right over here, and then bring it up. And then this is again why we have the guide over here. So even though I brought it up, you notice it's kind of eating into the eye a little bit. Okay, but it should be actually kind of going around it, right? So I'm gonna actually bring this out a little bit too, yeah, so we can kind of use that as a way to see, like, okay, is this gonna end up like making the model look a little crazy, yeah. Okay, but again, kind of bringing these up, and out. Okay, so I feel a little bit more smiley there. Okay, and yeah, just kind of use your judgment on this. Okay, it's up to you how much you want to put into that. Yeah. I will also add a little bit to the top area. I don't think this one's gonna be as extreme, yeah, but definitely a little bit of that, right? So dude looks pretty happy. Okay, let's go take a look at how she turned out. Yeah, so I'm gonna press that at 3. Yeah, and so now we're starting to see. Okay, this is what the OG looks like. This is kind of more smiley. Yeah, so maybe we can kind of take a look at it. I think I'll bring this forward a little bit. Again, this is feeling a little bit beakish. Yeah, so just gonna get in here. Even though things are going to the side, we don't want it to go too far in also, so I'm gonna kind of bring these forward a little bit. But again, this is just kind of tweaking, yeah, finding your range. And yeah, like sometimes it's like a little bit of guesswork, but the good thing is we have lots of nice reference um, to use. Yeah, so use your visuals when you can. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. All right, so there's a smile. It's looking pretty good. He kind of actually looks like he's yeah, I don't know, it looks a little skeevy. So I'm gonna maybe edit this up a little bit, but it's close. It's close. I kind of like it already. So yeah, yeah, he looks a little. I don't know if conceited is the right word, but yeah, so you kind of have that. Okay. All right. So that's gonna be the smile for now. Again, feel free to edit it however you need to. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm not a big fan of how far out I put this. So dropping that a little bit of that back. Yeah. Remember, you can use your B key to kind of switch that up. Yeah. Okay. But we kind of got a smile going over there. Yeah, I can work with that. All right, and so the next one I'm going to work on is going to be so we can start working on the angry one. Again, we don't have that many differences between the two, yeah, but again, this is all visual communication. So I'm going to go into white one mode, and then when we take a look at here, yeah, I think the most distinct thing that we're going to be paying attention to besides the eyebrows is going to be the mouth over here. So I'm going to kind of go with this edge. We do a little bit of a rotate, yeah, so it kind of looks like it's going downwards a bit, and then bring it down. Yeah, so you can kind of bring it down. The other thing I'm noticing is right under the chin, like right over here, gets somewhat pronounced. Not a lot, but it kind of gets a little bit pronounced. So bring that up a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of, yeah, he's already looking a little upset. Yeah. Okay, so you can kind of do that. I am also gonna maybe expand this out a little bit, yeah, so you can have a little bit more exaggeration. Okay, and then I also want to try to make sure that everything, especially when we're doing any kind of deformations like this, try not to keep like the main portion, like don't keep anything too still. So that's looking pretty good. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so he is looking upset. I think like for this, it's a little bit different from the cheeks, because remember when you smile, your cheeks kind of start to bunch up over here, yeah. Whereas when we're doing a frown, everything's kind of like pulling, yeah. So it's kind of pulling downwards, so it feels a little bit different. Okay, so I'm gonna try to reenact that. So I'm kind of pulling those in. Yeah, it almost feels like the face is kind of tightening a little bit, because again, there's like stress going on over here. The other thing that's happening is this area is getting pulled. Yeah, so instead of having it right over here, yeah, we may actually even kind of do something like this, where let me make this a little bit smaller. All right, there we go. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of work with this area, and then maybe have it like just pull up a little bit, and there, yeah. So kind of bring these up. Okay, so it almost feels like, yeah, it's yeah, a lot of stuff is kind of pooling over here, you know, so it's not too happy right there. Okay, we can always go into 3 mode, see how that looks. Yeah, okay, yeah, that doesn't look like a very happy look right there, so we can kind of see our contrast. I really need to fix that mouth. Okay, other things we're gonna do here is kind of pay attention again to the eyes. So the eyes should be kind of stressed. looking, especially it looks like on the edges, yeah. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff going on around the temple area. So I'm actually gonna kind of bring that down, and then also for the eyes, like just kind of create a little bit of that tension, yeah. So I actually might end up right over here. Bring this over here as well, yeah, just so it kind of looks like he's feeling, kind of feeling it a little bit stronger. Probably bring that forward a little bit, yeah, especially since we're bringing that down. And then for the eye too, yeah, kind of depends on how you want the eye to proceed here. But yeah, a lot of what I'm doing here is just to tighten it up a bit. Okay, so something like that. Okay, and then let's take a look. Is he upset? Not bad, not bad. I think the big thing is for this one is gonna be um, the area where the bridge of the nose is. Yeah, that kind of feels like that's gonna be the area that kind of tells the story the most. So definitely gonna jump onto that next. Okay, so one thing we know for sure is like when you're angry, this part tends to bunch up. Yeah, so we're going to kind of take this and scale it. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of scale that and bring this towards the center. Same thing over here. So maybe about halfway. Scale. Bring it towards the center. Oh, not too much. Okay, and then a little bit of a crinkle here. Very slight. I'm actually going to bring this back out a little bit too. Yeah, okay. All right, and then this part is going to end up going down a bit, and we can work with the eyebrows. Again, this is not going to be the most effective style we can use, unfortunately, because of we already have our brows kind of set up already. So this part may end up being like kind of overshadowed, but it's good to do this anyway, just so we can kind of see like, oh, how is this going to turn out? Yeah. Okay. All right, so you got that anger in the brows. All right, so that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna definitely mess with this right here. So scale that. The other thing too is usually when you get angry, this part bunches together, also kind of starts to stick out a little bit. Yeah, so we'll have that going. Then this one too, probably. Yeah, so everything's kind of affected over there. We can do a 3, see how it looks. Okay. Yeah, starting to get angrier, definitely. Yeah, his brows look pretty strong actually. So I kind of want to clean that up a bit. Bring this down. All right, but yeah, you guys can kind of see where we're going with this. Yeah. All right, and then this one, yeah, I think we gotta scale that. Okay, so back to that again. Yeah. All right. Then yeah. Okay, so that'll probably work for an angry face. Some of you folks may have noticed I didn't really mess around with the eyebrows on that one for the happy. Just realized like, oh shoot, I probably should have. As far as the angry one goes, yeah, it's pretty good. I think I exaggerated a little bit with the eyebrow length. Yeah, so that's a little bit of a weird choice. So I'm just gonna do a quick edit on that. Okay, so this maybe is moving inwards a bit. Yeah, okay, we can kind of work with that. Okay, and then press 3 and take a look at it. Yeah, he's even has some stress in his temples. I don't know if that's the best choice on my part, but yeah, that'll kind of work. Okay, all right, so we're on to the angry. So you kind of get the idea, right? So there's happy, there's angry. Now we got sad and surprise. Okay, surprise is all about eyes, pretty much, yeah. So again, going straight to alertness. Okay, and again, we still got our object X symmetry up here set up. So I'm gonna kind of work with this. Okay, and let's get some surprise going. So I'm probably gonna scale this down a bit and bring this up and maybe a little bit in. Okay, same thing with this. Up a little bit. in a little bit. This will be a slighter move than the previous one. Let me scale this a bit. Bring this up. Okay, again, we're trying to get him to look like he cannot believe what is happening here. We can also do a little bit for the bottom of the eye. Okay. Let me push that back. Okay, so we can take a look, do a 3. Okay. Looks like we got some mouth stuff to do for sure. Yeah. And when you're surprised, a lot of your face is kind of neutral, which is kind of works for us. Let's see. We'll probably force this a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of bring these down, and then maybe expand. So right over here. So scale it a little bit that way, and then bring it out a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So it is a little bit more neutral though. Okay. So you can kind of add those in. Okay. Then of course, if the eyes are opening, that means these parts should go down just a little bit. I'm gonna make the brush size a little bit bigger too, so affecting a little bit of a larger area. Bring that down too. Okay. And let's see. Oh, okay. And then yeah, we'll definitely have this kind of going down at the edges. Yeah. So this is like surprise / dismay. Just a little bit of it, yeah. But we don't want it to be to the point where he looks like he's frowning. Okay, so we can take a look at it. See, it's temporary. Okay. Looks very frowny. Okay. And then I think the change up is gonna be the eyebrows. Yeah, so grabbing this one right here, definitely gonna kind of bring that up. And then work with these two. Bring that up. This as well. Okay. And then just very, very, very slightly on this side. Very slightly. We can kind of mess with this as well. Yeah, so all that musculature is going into like making sure like, oh boy, am I aware of what's going on out here? And then nose looks like it's pretty neutral. So I'm gonna just kind of not touch that too much. Again, kind of bringing these down. Okay, so just shaping it. I'm gonna throw my selection like way lower because this part feels kind of weird. Oops. Right over there. Yeah, there you go. Okay, and then bring these up a bit. Alright, so again, just fill it out. Okay, this is like definitely I might end up like tweaking this a bit on my own after this, but yeah, so just to give you an idea of that. Okay, and then now we got our surprise. Yeah, so now we got smiley, sort of too smug. That's the term. Okay, he looks smug. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's mewy, but yeah, it looks smug. Okay, then angry, and then we have our surprise. Yeah, and then of course we're gonna work on our last one, and we're gonna make our poor guy sad. So you're gonna make a poor guy sad. Again, one mode to jump back in. Okay, main thing for this one is going to be, we might exaggerate this a little bit, kind of like how we did the smile, where we expanded out the edges a bit. But you notice a lot of these, when you're expressing, the mouth is like really a big key. Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna kind of bring these out. Yeah, expand it, and then once again, anytime you're scaling, yeah, please do make sure that you also make sure you thin out things if you're going to expand it. And yeah, let's bring that in. Okay, and then I am definitely 100% going to bring the edges down. Yeah, so we can start bringing that down. Okay, try to work in groups. So bringing a bunch of these. Okay, this is really gonna feel kind of sad. Okay, I'm also gonna work on the outside. Yeah, so anytime there's a pull, remember this outside area, all this musculature should also follow. Yeah, usually that's the driver. I'm gonna increase the brush size a little bit. I feel like I'm not affecting as much change as I want to in a short area. Okay, so yeah, kind of like that. All right. Okay, he is already looking pretty sad, and we haven't even gotten to the main part yet. Okay. Now, of course, we also have this area. It like this geometry is not the best. So it is kind of limited in as far as that goes. So you are gonna be able to do a little bit of this. But yeah, just try your best. I'm trying my best too. We're going to kind of take this, bring this forward. Yeah, just so it has that shape. Yeah, of everything is kind of like welling up. It does almost look like he's gonna kind of cry. Yeah, so that's how you feel when you're sad, right? Okay, I'm gonna bring this in, and then maybe this one as well. Yeah, so a lot of concentration in that one area. Yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of the face is kind of adjusting. Yeah. Okay, so we can kind of do 3 mode, test that out. Okay, I think this is just my default faces. I'm always doing that. Yeah. Jesus. All right. So that's that part. Maybe I'm gonna bring up, and then for sadness, looks like we also a lot of it again is in the eyes. So let's figure that one out. Looks like it's going to be a lot of this dropping because the brows are also going to be dropping. Yeah. So let's kind of work with that. So bring this down. Bring this out. Bring this down. Bring this out, and then unsurprisingly, these folks, not as much though, but bring it down a little, bring it out a little. Okay. And then looks like there's a lot of concentration in the sides, yeah. So I'm gonna kind of mess around with that a little bit. Okay, and then probably bring that out. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So now we kind of have that going. I do like kind of bringing this down, maybe a little bit forward. Okay. And it's kind of going okay. Not bad, not bad. So you can kind of 3 mode it. Okay. It's kind of just tired. Okay. Very relatable, probably for all of us. The next thing I am going to do though is work with the brows. Yeah, so the brows actually play a big part in being sad, because of the fact that they kind of like drop. So we're gonna enact that. So here's our drop. Bring that down. I'm gonna bring the brush size just a little bit bigger, so it's affecting everything. Then we can kind of work with this. And then this, there's a lot right over here. Interesting. Okay. And then it kind of looks like this part, all of this should go down, but some of it less than others. So like the more it goes to the outside, the lower it gets, it seems like. I don't know, at least that's what I'm seeing visually here. Okay. And then even this, if we have it up a little bit, that almost feels, yeah, that's working out pretty well over there. I think we could also mess with the forehead a little bit. So I'll go maybe here, oops, here, and then bring that down, bring it out a little bit, yeah. And then we'll just have a little bit of a edge over here, just so like it kind of feels like it's compressing a bit. And then a little bit of that, yeah. So a lot of stress going into the forehead, which sort of, it kind of makes sense to me. Right, and then these guys, maybe we can have these kind of go up a little bit. So right over here. All right, okay, I'm kind of feeling his stress here. Let's see what happens if we go to 3 mode. Yeah, okay, so looking pretty sad. Okay. So there we have our setups with all the same mouths for some reason for all of these. This does feel like it's the most crying of everything. But yeah, okay, so we're kind of set. Again, I really want to clean up that happy one, but we're gonna move forward. All right, so that's our expressions though. Yeah, so do your best on here. Hopefully yours turns out better than mine. Okay, but yeah, next up we're gonna be working on the mouth movements.